Hey y'all, so here is my attempt at the cardboard video. So at this point, you've all watched the previous video explaining the cardboard assignment and the sketchbook assignment as well. The thing to keep in mind with the sketchbook is that your ideas are going to change. Your ideas are going to evolve. This is just your starting out point, and please always feel free to check in with me so we can figure out and sort of let me help you. So again, just sort of clicking through some of the assignment examples um, and just give particular note to the sort of the details and the textures, and it's all those sort of little moves that are going on in there. All right, those are those. So what we're going to talk about quickly is basic geometric construction. So the first thing that I did is I just cut out a sort of a little template. So I cut it to the same size, and then I overshot here on the right, but then I sort of cut little lines up the middle of them. I did that way I can slot them into each other. And then I'm already starting with a really sort of sturdy base. This is one way to do it. There's another one later on. You want to make sure that the core of your structure is always really quite strong. So, and then what I did is I cut little wedges to go in between. So think about the way that a beach ball is constructed. So you start to get those like the almost like segments of an orange. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start wrapping it around. So you can see here on the left that I went through and I scored through the cardboard. Scoring, it means you cut through that first, oh, my password popped up. You cut through that first paper layer and leave the corrugated layer and the paper on the other side. If you cut through that paper layer, then you're going to be able to get you're going to be able to make curves. It's going to allow it so you won't get kind of like wrinkles and crimps in it. Just remember that whatever side you score on is going to be the side, like the exterior of a concave form. So think of them like relief cuts. They're kind of like letting it stretch. They're not straight. If you're doing something really precise, get your ruler out. Do them much closer together. This is sort of just a quick construction. And you can see I'm just going to wrap it around. I'm going to glue those in place. You are going to burn the ever-loving crap out of yourself several times. I apologize in advance. Again, be really careful with this. Always cut on your cutting mat. Don't cut towards yourself. If you burn yourself, go directly under cool water. This is more students get hurt with a hot glue gun and X-Acto knife than in my sculpture classes. So here you can just see I'm sort of wrapping that around, and it's starting to build out into a form. And you can see those up at the top on the left, the pieces of that little segment. And I had a gap, I didn't go all the way around, so I have to put another piece there. So here now what I'm going to do is I want to start building out, now that I sort of have that base, I want to start getting that dome shape covered. So I'm going to do some pattern making. So on the left you can see I made some little marks and I roughed it out. I don't know exactly what that shape is. I'll probably have to glue it and cut back and make some adjustments, but these kind of like little petal shapes. And again, I'm going to go score that. You can see these are tighter and a little kind of closer together so I can get a nice smooth form. If you don't score it enough, it'll be really like chunky and it just won't look very smooth. So when I get those little segments glued on, the other thing you want to think about are the those transition points. So you can see here it's kind of a little clunky where those points are meeting. So I'm adding another little strip of cardboard just to cover that up. Think about it decoratively, and it sort of depends what you're doing. So now thinking about organic shape building. So here it's a similar process. I made a form, and then instead of cutting things down the center and sort of smushing them together, I cut out sort of there's like a side view and an aerial view, or like a top view. And then I'm using these little like cardboard wedges to sort of hold that in and make it structural. I put that in the wrong spot apparently. So you can see here I'm building that up. And the other thing that I'm doing is it's not going straight across, it's trying to already build up those forms. As you can see here on the left, after I've got that done, I've got these little sort of fins in there to get it rigid. And I've got that on both sides. And then I'm going to start adding these little legs. I start everything pretty simply at first, don't overthink it. Going in with these tabs, just sort of making it strong, making sure that everything's sturdy. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go in, I'm going to, one of the legs, I'll sort of have a cross section, and then more fins on that. And I'm going to do that to all the legs. Now I have a pretty sturdy structure. Now I'm going to go ahead and do, so I'm going to cut tons of tiny little strips, so I can start building up that form. As you can see, it's a pretty rough structure or armature that I'm then going to have to kind of go and layer and beef back up. And I'm just going to keep laying those little strips on over and over and over until I kind of get the form that I want. And the thing that I'm really careful about is to try to make sure that everything's about on the same level. And keep going through, adding those on. You can see how that form builds up. After I get that form where I like it, I'm going to start adding the paper tape. I usually have to do at least 2 layers of the paper tape and kind of let it dry overnight. So just know that you can't rush that, particularly where there's contact points, like down here. I had to flip it and let it dry and kind of lay on its side and fuss it a little bit because if we're all stuck home more than we would be normally. Thank you, students that do have difficult jobs at this point and other responsibilities. Just sort of flip it around, rotate it. Anyway, here's some extra YouTube videos. The thing that I wanted to say, I'm concerned that I didn't send everybody home with enough paper tape. So what I was going to say you can do, I would absolutely do paper tape as your first layer. It's not as messy. But if you run out of paper tape and you're doing one of those organic forms where you're going to really, really need it, you can totally paper mache it up. It's not quite the same to work with, and I think it's a little harder and messier, but you know, COVID, we're making it work. If you don't have, well, you can pick up Elmer's glue at grocery stores. Sort of most paper mache is like Elmer's glue and flour and water. But I'm sure I could, if folks don't have access to Elmer's glue, or if you can't get a bottle of it, you would only need a small one. Like, let me know. We'll figure something out. Okay, that is what I got. Welcome to cardboard. The other thing that I'll say, you're gonna have technical problems, so plan on making some appointments to do like a Google Hangout. Let me sort of talk you through some of those harder problems.